Welcome to another episode of the OfferMojo Show, where we talk all about crafting, scaling, marketing, and selling aligned and profitable offers. Today, we are going to talk about a very specific kind of offer, which is the online course. And I know there's a lot of controversy going on about this right now, and I cannot wait for you to learn from our guest today. So let me introduce to you Kasia Derbiszewski. How did I do?
You close, Derbiszewska. I have the ska in there.
Derbiszewska. I love it.
But you know what? It's all good. It's all good. Very good.
Okay. Anyway, Kasia is an online course and business strategist who helps high level experts turn their knowledge into transformative and profitable online programs. Kasia specializes in neuroscience and learning design, using brain based principles as the foundation of her signature system inside Supercharge Your Online Course. She builds programs that align with how the brain actually learns, processes information, and makes decisions. Her work goes far beyond simply launching a course. She helps experts create transformational learning experiences that drive real behavior change, increase retention, generate referrals, and produce sustainable revenue. Kasia believes that when education is designed intentionally, it becomes a powerful vehicle for both meaningful transformation and long term business growth. So, welcome, Kasia, to the show. I have to ask you to share a little bit of your background and how you got into this because I know from reading about you that you've got a really strong educational background. So, why don't we just start there? Because I think it's important, especially as we get into the neuroscience piece of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here. So, I would say that part of my journey has been a little accidental and unintentional.
Okay.
I began as a high school English teacher. And
Okay.
when I was teaching, I realized that all of my students learn differently, and we have one curriculum. And it doesn't do justice for the way that people learn, retain information, process it, how they engage and act on it. So I went to do my master's degree at Harvard in educational neuroscience. And
Okay.
from there, I started working with school districts for the past 17 years, helping them understand how to design flexible and adaptive learning environments so that everybody can learn without overwhelming you.
Hmm.
And then when COVID hit, the whole educational landscape shifted. And
Okay.
that's when we started having experts come to us and asking us, I'm an expert in what I do. Help
Hmm.
me teach it better. And that's what grew our signature program, Supercharge Your Online Course, where it began kind of accidentally, unintentionally, but it really truly met a need in the industry of
Hmm.
helping people understand how to design high impact learning experiences that truly transform lives, where you're not just focused on your expertise, but you truly understand what makes things stick, what gets people to take action on that information.
Right. Because let's be honest, if you purchase a online course and you don't ever finish it or you don't ever like implement it, like you're not helping your clients get the
Yeah.
transformation that they want, right? I want to clarify something. When you talk about online course, because you said on profitable online programs, are you referring to like a self study online course, or are you referring to more of a course or group program where someone's live in that
Mhm.
experience?
So that's a really great question. So even though I call it course, it really is an umbrella term for a variety of different types of offers that you can
Okay.
have in the virtual space.
Okay.
Self-study, self-paced, group coaching. but even different kinds of hybrid programs that you can offer. And the way that you choose what the right fit for you, we think about it in terms of a variety of factors on how you choose. But I think that behind that question is the first kind of problem space where we had spent some time talking about before the show, like, are courses even dead, right,
Right.
in the first place, right? And
Yes.
is the economy of courses shifting?
Yes, it is.
And so I think that the first thing to realize is that how we design a course, I do not believe that courses are dead whatsoever. The industry is
Okay.
rapidly, insanely booming. It just looks differently than what
Okay.
it did several years ago. And what
Right.
worked during the COVID era doesn't necessarily work right now, or it works in specific niche markets, or for specific types of content, if you will. Um,
Okay.
and so, what I really like to think about is that during COVID, we had an abundance of time. People were really sitting and doing self paced programs, things like
Right.
that. And those do work, but we actually have to ask ourselves a fundamental question, several questions. How long does the transformation take? If depending on how long the transformation takes depends on whether this would be a self-paced course or whether this would be a group coaching, a hybrid offer. We have to
Right.
ask questions. What is my energetic capacity? Do
Sure.
I have the capacity to show up live? Does my audience want access to me or access to the content? Because
Right.
depending on your topic or your niche market, the answer will differ.
Yes.
And do they want accountability or do they just want information? What is the price point? So there's lots and lots. When we go into launching an online course or an online program, we really have to, this is an alignment issue that does impact profitability and scalability as well.
Absolutely. I'm 100% on the same page with you. It's like I don't feel that any type of online offer is the right type of offer, that I don't believe in, chasing trends. Like right now, the community based offer is like the biggest, biggest trend right now. Oh, you have to have community. You got to build a community. Well, a community isn't the best option for everyone. It really depends on energetic capacity and whether or not you want to hold space for what that takes. And so I agree with you that, and I even agree that um, online courses, like if you do them in the right way, self-paced, um, they still work too. But
Mhm.
let's talk about, I think one of the biggest things that is very rampant right now is AI, right? So everyone says, if you're going to build an AI or build a course, you need to integrate AI because people want an interactive experience. And so, help me understand, I guess, what your thoughts are on how AI has shifted, like how you're producing like these online courses or experiences right now.
Yeah, I think that AI can and is a valuable asset, but I also think, and I think that it can speed up different elements of your work and it can be helpful in ideation,
Hmm.
but it's also not always accurate, right?
Right.
So I specialize in the field of educational neuroscience. And sometimes I'll get onto AI and I'll just kind of ask it questions, help me brainstorm, and it's not correct, right? It just is not correct. And I don't think that there is ever a replacement for an authentic human being
Right.
understands all of the nuances of what you are working on and the
Hmm.
depth of your experience and your lived experience to to create it. So I also think there's a lot of AI where you can tell that that was generated by AI and
Hmm.
not by a human.
Right.
And that is a little off-putting to me, because I think that this boils down to one of the foundational, why do some online courses not work? And a lot of it is because many courses are based on information and not transformation. So
Okay.
I can Google anything. I can chat GPT an answer. I can use
Right.
AI to help me. But that's not what's going to help me implement and get to the behavioral change, the transformation I'm looking for. So
Exactly.
the biggest shift in the market right now is that if you are able to enter the market and move from an information, like I'm just disseminating information, but I'm
Hmm.
actually helping you take consistent action towards that transformation, that is what we are looking for. And that is something that AI cannot do for you.
Hmm. Got it. Okay. Got it. Yeah. That, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, first of all, like we all need that human support. We all need that uh, that human element, that person that can hold our hand through the process, that can be the guide, that can hold emotional space.
Mhm.
And AI cannot do that. Like I know that sometimes people put in things. Oh my God, ChatGPT, I'm having a bad day today, and ChatGPT will pretend it's emotional and
Mhm.
come back with some, kind of response. But it is not human. As much as I embrace AI for, certain elements of my business, it will never ever replace my expertise. It will not replace my humanity, my level of empathy, my ability to hold space for people, to hold people accountable, to challenge people, to whatever it is that we can do, or to critically think about things. I think, yeah, we need the human.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that in people are looking for connection, authentic engagement, and
Hmm.
that doesn't necessarily have to be a community, although that can be a very big part of if it's the right structure for your business model.
Sure. Hmm.
But people are looking for something beyond because AI is it's very affirming. You could say something and it will very good job, Lori. That's a brilliant idea. And you're like, but that's not actually what, may be best for you or your business at the time. Because it's proven to be so affirming as opposed to a human who can challenge assumptions, who can tweak things, adapt things in real time.
Yes, agreed. Agreed. So, let's talk about the whole like learning experience, because I know, with a background in education, and like you said, you are a high school teacher and you realize that people like learn differently. um, let's talk a little bit about that, so that we know when we're creating courses, we're actually speaking to the different ways that human beings learn.
Yeah, I absolutely love to talk about this. So, by and large part, most learning environments are
Hmm.
designed for the average learner. And if we
Okay.
step back and think about it, average does not exist. It is a mathematical formulation, right? But
Right.
we are not math formulas in a book. We are dynamic beings that are impacted by our environment, the context, the situation at hand.
Hmm.
So many things impact who we are.
Right.
So when we design for average, we design for no one effectively. And when we do that, you have to be okay with the fact that this may work for some people, but not for most people. And so,
Yes.
what in the field that I work in, we look at this in terms of predictable, what I call predictability of variability. So, if we can actually predict how people learn, now we
Hmm.
can design for it. So, you have
Okay.
more neuronal connections in your brain than there are stars in the sky. And
Wow.
you start to think about like now how do I design for this, right? So
Hmm.
we think about three main brain networks. Now you have trillions, thousands of brain networks, but we're only going
Okay.
to, for the purpose of design, look at three. And the
Okay.
first network, the most important, I would argue, is what we call the affective network. This is how we engage with our learning environments. So
Okay.
everything, how we feel about it, what motivates us, what feels like a barrier to us, our sense of belonging, that's
Mm-hmm.
all being filtered through there. The
Okay.
second one is our what we call our recognition network. How does information come into our brain so that we
Okay.
can recognize it? So the fact that you can feel your chair, you see me, you hear me, you taste the food you're eating, if information does not come into your brain, then you can't
Mm-hmm.
act on it. So we have the feeling, we have the perception, and then the third part is what we call the strategic network. How do we
Okay.
act on the information? How do we plan, strategize, organize? So this is the prefrontal cortex.
Mm-hmm.
That part of your brain doesn't fully mature until your early 30s. We used to think mid to late 20s. Now,
Early 30. See, I have been saying I always thought it was 25.
yeah, so now more recent research that used to, we're now noticing that prime development is really early 30s now. And
Wow,
so,
that makes me feel better about my 24-year-old.
yeah, right? Yeah, absolutely. So these three brain networks combine feeling, and I
Mm-hmm.
know it sounds like a soft and fuzzy term, but we really break this down very analytically as to what this means, how we perceive, and then how we take action. When we are really designing environments that are attuned to those brain networks, that is how we create what I call an adjustable lever in your learning environment. So, to give you an analogy, if you are traveling and you rent a car, now there
Mm-hmm.
are thousands of people who rent the same car, and it
Right.
works for tall people, short people, people who like, the seat adjusted this way, that way. We're not building hundreds of cars for different people. That's not efficient, and it's not effective. There's a lever, and the person who's driving the car makes the adjustments. So if we take that same analogy and we
Mm-hmm.
use the neuroscience, we
Right.
effectively create an adjustable lever for the person taking our program, our course, whatever learning experience we are creating, even if it's an in-person event. And we allow them to be in charge of that learning experience so they can get to the destination.
Let's talk about because, for the, let's use the term average, right? Neuroscience is not something that the average person knows about. So I want to like break it down in more practical
Mhm.
terms, in terms of like giving me an example of what type of levers are can be adjusted, or what how we design in a way that affects each of these three networks, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
absolutely.
Okay.
So the one that is, I would say, the top thing that there's several. I have several, like, if you're going to make quick changes in your course, these
Hmm.
would be my recommendations. So the first thing I would say, looking at the recognition network, how does information come into your brain? I would ask you to do an audit of your course and
Okay.
just look at it. Is it all text based? Do you have videos? Do you have audio versions? Do you have images?
Mm.
Because we will make assumptions that everybody is going to learn the same way. And that's not, true.
That's true.
So
Hmm.
we want to have different representations of the same information. So maybe we have a video, and
Hmm.
maybe we have a summary below it.
Hmm.
Maybe we have closed captioning or transcripts, different
Transcripts.
ways of perceiving that information.
Right. I like that actually because I know myself. I'm a very visual learner. And auditory wise, like I don't like comprehend it as well. I don't pick things up. So I can listen to a podcast, for instance, and I can hear, but there's many times like where my spouse might share something that's audio, like, or she'll be like reading to me, and it's like just give it to me. Like, let me like read it myself, because like I need to see it for it to comprehend. Like, I just don't comprehend as well for her to read it to me versus me reading something myself.
And I love this because there's a big assumption that if I'm on the screen and I'm just going to sit in front of the camera and just talk to you like this,
Hmm.
there's an audio version, you see me, now you get the content. And that's not true. We need to have key ideas on slides, maybe have a visual icon, or maybe we teach a framework or a system and we have an acronym, and we
Hmm.
need to have that spelled out. So you're not just staring at the person who's just talking at you,
Sure.
but that the
Hmm.
content is laid out in a way where you can input it auditorily, but also see a visual cue that helps embed it. And that does not mean brain dumping everything like you're reading off a PowerPoint or Google Slides presentation. You don't want to do that, but something
Okay.
that enhances the meaning, that gives you the gist of it, where you can look at it, but hear it and see, oh yeah, that graphic, that visual pulls together that main idea for me.
Right. Got it. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Especially, I like the way you broke down kind of like the visual of like of the graphics, images, the visual of the person like speaking to you, which I think oftentimes like helps with connection, like
Hmm.
human to
Yeah.
human connection, than having an audio version. And I like the audio version because there's oftentimes I will not sign up for a course because it's like I don't have time to sit and watch like a bunch of videos. I just avoid them because I don't have time. But if there was an audio version of that course, I would probably listen. I would probably say, okay, on my walk to the gym or while I'm lifting weights, I'm going to listen to this course because I don't have time to just dedicate however many minutes each video is like every day to watch this. But I can work it into my schedule to listen. And then sometimes, like for me, I know like having a transcript. Like I just recently like was a part of a program, Email Incubator, with Kylie Kelly, and she had video, but she also had transcripts. And it's like there were
Mhm.
times where it's like, okay, I don't have time to watch this video. Let me just read like really fast, like what's in the transcript so I can absorb. Or maybe there was things that I didn't catch when I
Mhm.
watched the video. And then I was able to go back to the transcript and say, oh, yeah, 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 that's what she was talking about. These four types of, emails or whatever. So I really like the way you kind of broke down those four different ways that you can bring in that information.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
what what I want to talk about is the transformation piece of it, because I think, like you said, people create a course or an experience or whatever. People listen to it, maybe, um, and then they never implement it. It's
Mhm.
like knowledge. Okay, that's great. They get back into busy life, and nothing ever happens. And so the transformation actually doesn't happen. So, how do we design in a way that there's, milestones and there's like actually, you can actually, especially in the self study environment, right? Like, how do we actually get people to implement and execute on what they're learning so that they do transform?
Yeah, and so there are so many ways you could do this. And so I'm going to give two examples. But
Okay.
before I give that, I want to point out one little thing that will help people start to take action. And so
Okay.
when you mentioned that if I have a podcast version of this course, I can plug it in and take it on my walk.
Mhm.
A lot of times people aren't aware, or they get overwhelmed, like, I can't because I don't have the time. So I like to, in my onboarding of courses or programs, I
Mhm.
immediately teach something called net time, no extra time. And I
Okay.
have our modules designated in terms of which sub-modules are net modules. Like if you're folding laundry,
Hmm.
tune in. If you are taking a walk or meal prepping or, doing anything like that, tune in using no extra time. You can do this module while multitasking. But
Okay.
there are other modules that you can't. Like you need to be doing something, building something, creating something. So
Hmm.
this is the part of the brain that we talk about, the strategic network, the
Hmm.
prefrontal cortex, where we start to break down how do you start to take action and not just assume that everybody's going to know how to do it on their
Right.
own.
Okay.
So building in those little micro reminders, like this
Hmm.
is a net module. Go ahead and do this and multitask. That relieves a lot of pressure. But
Okay.
the other way that you can do this is by, I like to teach this in terms of course structure. So if you
Okay.
structure your course and your modules with a similar pattern, you're going
Hmm.
to naturally build in that place for people to take action. So to give you an analogy, if I am an author of a cookbook or a blog, you will
Hmm.
notice that every cookbook follows the same pattern. There's the title of the recipe,
Hmm.
there is an image, a blog, the ingredients, the directions, and then nutritional information.
Sure.
When you go to the next recipe, it's not out of order. It follows the same pattern. And that
Right.
pattern is so important because two things. One, for the recipe designer, it's easy to see, oh, I'm missing this piece. I got to go fill out the nutritional info.
Right.
But for the person cooking, it's
Hmm.
so intuitive. Like I'm always going to find my ingredients here. Or if I forgot this step, I always know where to go there. And
Right.
so if we can leverage that same idea and pull that into our
Hmm.
courses will have a natural rhythm to it where we might have sections. So let's say we're teaching a module on the recognition network or, one aspect of trauma or one aspect of healing your diastasis or whatever you're teaching, right?
Okay.
You have, you're going to create something like a recipe and you'll have like a background information or a learn it. And then your next section might be a mindset. Like you might have to change your mindset about how you eat, how you approach your
Okay.
thinking about food. And then the third section will be apply it, like specific task items that you want somebody to do. So
Okay.
if you take in every single course, every single niche market will have a different structure
Sure. Okay.
because it really truly depends on what you're teaching and how the change happens. But if you can break down your content into categories where a client will always know where the apply section is, where the background information is, where the mindset shifted information is, you're
Okay.
going to reduce their cognitive load and you're going to prime them to start to take action on that content piece.
Okay. So you're basically saying by having a very structured way of presenting your learning and having a very specific module that's dedicated to applying what they learn, that they're more likely to actually apply it.
Right. So let's say that your course has 6 modules in it.
Hmm.
Every module will have an apply section.
Okay.
Every module will have a learn section, a reflect or a mindset section. If you're, depending those structures, those headers will change. But
Okay.
what is universal is that everybody should have an apply section because
Okay.
a lot of times what happens in courses and programs, experts are mixing the action piece with, or they're assuming that somebody will know what to do next.
Mm,
Because I just taught you this fantastic idea. I'm assuming that you're going to go out and do it right now, or you're going to be able to take that task and break it down into smaller tasks.
exactly.
That's not the client's job.
Yes.
That's the designer's job. That's the course's job. And so then we can embed checklists. milestones, gamification. There's tons of we can build in community because community can act as a motivator. It's not for every program or course, but for specific things, specific courses and programs, it does work.
Sure.
But that's where
Yeah.
we can layer those elements in.
Yeah. I mean, I think the community aspect provides, accountability.
Yes.
It provides like camaraderie, right?
Mhm.
It's like, oh, this person's doing the same thing as me. It probably includes, for some people, competition,
Yes.
um, making sure that they're keeping up with people that are actually executing and implementing. And then, it provides the support, right? It provides, like, when you do get up against whatever mindset shift is going on with that particular learning, you've got someone that you can talk to about it. You can work through those things with. You can just be heard and understood, because I think a mindset piece is like, I mean, I know just even in my one-on-one work, like, the mindset piece is huge. Like, oh my gosh, like, that's going to stop you from applying. Like, if you have a mindset that is paralyzing you, or is just making you doubt, you're less likely to take action.
I absolutely. And so that's where when we can have a consistent structure in our program,
Hmm.
that all transformation happens. It's all about consistency versus intensity. Consistency
Okay.
versus intensity. So if we only, let's say, so you're teaching offer creation and you have one module on mindset, but
Hmm.
somebody doesn't get stuck until module 7 or week 7 in their journey.
Okay.
We expect them to remember what module 1 said about mindset, right? That's like
Right.
that's like going to the gym one time a month and expecting you to walk out with a six pack, right? Like
Right.
that's not how it works.
Right.
You
Hmm.
develop core strength, you develop muscle by daily consistent actions. So if we
Hmm.
can take those mindset pieces and integrate them into every module or into
I love
daily
that.
conversations, that's how we get to consistency over intensity. That's how we rewire because change does not happen through information alone. And we
Right.
need those reminders. We need to be doing those check ins. And that's why that course structure, what it does is it targets the recognition network, how you
Hmm.
perceive patterns, and be so that you can familiarize and get constant repetition of what it is that we're working on to drive that behavioral change.
Got it. Got it. Makes a lot of sense. When you talk about intensity, let's break that down just a little bit, because what I think about sometimes when you use the word intensity in the context of a course or a learning environment, what I think about is like overwhelm,
Mhm.
um, content overwhelm, like trying to teach like too much at one time, and the person going, oh my God, like this is too intense, or maybe even moving too fast
Mhm.
and not letting the brain like have time to process information. But what do you mean by like intensity when you talk about that intensity versus like consistency?
Yeah, I mean, I see that in even all aspects of our business and not just the course, but exactly everything that you were saying as well, like the cognitive overload piece. Like I'm going to tell you everything, and I feel that if I just talk it at you, that you'll absorb it, right?
Right.
And that's intense, right?
Yes.
Versus breaking something down and having a consistent structure where you're constantly coming back and looking at something, over time, getting reintroduced to it. That's the consistency. But I also think this applies to us as business owners, right? Like it applies to all aspects of our life, right? Like if I think that I'm going to go, work out for 7 hours, really intense, and then be happy and feel motivated to go back to the gym and feel inspired, like that's not going to happen. And
No.
that's true for ourselves as business owners, right?
Hmm.
When we think I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this in my course and like all of it, as opposed to seeing everything you do in your business and everything you do in a course offer the educational piece. It's design work, and design is iterative.
Okay.
You create something, you go back, you design, you redesign, and that's what the neuroscience tells us is the most effective. You're learning and making adjustments and tweaks as you go along,
Hmm.
to being stuck in perfectionism and overwhelm and having to get everything done, perfectly.
Right.
All work is design work. And I think that if we shift that and we're going to consistently work on it, as opposed to feeling like I have to get it done in one
Yeah.
weekend, that's going to be a game changer for us as business owners as well.
Oh my gosh, yes. I say the same thing about offers, which this is just a form of an offer. But I say, that offer that you put out into the world does not have to be like perfect, because you're going to find that as you deliver that offer, like the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, whatever, you're going to notice refinements that need to be made. You're going to notice that, oh, in this client situation, like this happened, like, oh, I wasn't actually even thinking about the fact that that was going to happen. And so then you can make refinements for how does it need to be improved or designed better, so that you're reaching all of the different, I guess, constraints, possibilities, client interactions. Like, it's amazing to me. Like, I do most of my work is one-on-one, and it's amazing to me. It's like, even though I have a very structured framework, every client experience is so different, and I'm always surprised by, oh wow, like I didn't expect this to be happening, and I'm having to like adjust strategy. I'm having to adjust my coaching based on how that human is interacting with the experience.
And that's that variability that is predictable and
Right.
can be designed for. So when you convert a one-to-one offer, and I truly believe in your business that you should also have, in addition to group coaching and programs and courses, things like that, one-to-one is tremendously valuable. But
Sure.
you can see the range of variability that your private clients have and use that as the what we call designing to the margins. The person
Okay.
who needs the greatest amount of support, the greatest amount of challenge, and build that into your group coaching, your self-paced courses, your other types of programs,
Mhm.
so that you're designing for all learners.
Yes. 100%. 100%. Let's go back to the content piece of it, because I think that this is an important piece, because one of the things I know I talk about with offers is, let's not overstuff the offer and try to do like everything. Like, I know a lot of, coaches, for instance, that it's like they want to create this 6 month long program and do like everything. What I always try to do is like, let's how can we like break that transformation into more like baby steps, and not overwhelm the person, and maybe advance them into like along the way.
Yeah.
Start with a 4 or a 6 week offer, for instance, and move them along if they need deeper support. If we're designing a program, is there a sweet spot, in your opinion, in terms of level of content? Or is it just kind of like, it's so like varies?
Well, I do think it varies, but I agree with the idea that we we are when you can teach a specific discrete skill
Hmm.
or something like that, that is very powerful. And the reason why that works is it leverages the neuroscience. Somebody learns something, they take action, they
Hmm.
get a dopamine hit. That feels good.
Right.
That
Yes.
feels good. And then you're there and you're coaching them, or a community is there, or something is there saying, way to go. We're celebrating with you.
Right.
And that feels good. So we take the next step. So when you can micro, and you can do this effectively in a longer term course, but what you're doing, what you need to do is in how you structure it, is you need to make the skills very easy to achieve so that we're riding on this dopamine feeling of like, I did it. Now I
Right.
can move on to the next thing. So to give, like, I love to use analogies because I think it helps us understand
Mhm.
in a different way. But we all set New Year's resolutions. Not all of us, but many people still
Right.
do. And then by the end, 2 weeks in, we haven't done it, right? It's
Right. Mhm.
because the window is too big, right? It's not clearly defined how we're going to get there. So if we can
Right.
shorten the window and say, instead of by the end of January or by the end of the year, I'll be here, we say, by the end of the week, I will commit to blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
That's
Mhm.
so much more doable. And it
Sure.
gives a way to track your progress or to celebrate with somebody to get that
Mhm.
affirmation. And there's tons of different ways to do this depending on how your program offer course is set up. That's what's going to fuel that change and build in that excitement. So if you have a longer program, you have to have a lot of checkpoints where people are feeling that success. But
Yes.
if what does work, why these micro offers work, is because people have a sense of achievement that if it's
Mhm.
clearly structured, I've learned this, I've reframed this, I've practiced this, I've implemented this, and I saw a change.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of micro offers. I'm a huge fan of one specific problem being solved, one
Mhm.
specific solution being delivered in a shorter window of time. Like, to me, that is golden. Because my program's like 8 weeks long, which to me is a little bit longer. And it's funny because different people, especially if you're doing it in a group environment, the longer your program goes, and if you're in a group environment, like, people are working at different paces,
Mhm.
and so you're not keeping the group like together, like, at all. Like, and the longer it goes, like, the more one particular person or a couple of people will fall behind, they'll get stuck in a particular area, and the rest of the group is ahead. um, is there anything that you like would suggest to address something like that if you are doing, like, let's say, an 8 week or a 12 week program, and you're teaching all of these things, and some of your students are still stuck back here while some of your students are up here and ready to go? How do
Yeah.
you account for that?
How do you account for that? So a lot of that actually ends up being a lot of emotional work where you are coaching your client
Hmm.
on, because what it can trigger in somebody is, I'm in the wrong place. Wow, they are so far ahead of me.
Yes.
And that feels overwhelming. So it turns into, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I need to go back to my 9 to 5. Maybe I need to go back to,
Right.
and when you can frame it as variability is the norm, not the exceptions. These are people who are just farther ahead, and you'll get there too. And you prime them in your program what to listen to, what to notice, how to ask questions. So a lot of that is kind of mindset coaching if you have a larger program,
Hmm.
and then, and really coaching around like, that's where you will be by the end of that experience.
Right.
So that's especially true for evergreen models, right? When it's a longer program and it's an evergreen model, that's not necessarily the case when you have a launch model.
Sure.
You keep everybody kind of on the same schedule. So again, there are pros and cons, and it's to doing them. We have clients who run their courses on a launch model because they don't want to consistently have to show up in an evergreen model. They love to travel all over the world, and they
Mhm.
want to know that in February they run their 3 week course and that's it. And
Right.
the rest of the time they're off. So it's not, it's not, I fully agree with what you said. There's not, we're not following the latest trend. It's an alignment thing. What's an alignment for you? What's, the
Right.
length of transformation that's required, the
Mhm.
level of access. Um, and if you do have a longer program, then you often see that the people who have been in the program longer, they often start, offering support or in the chat box, or if you have another community supporting and supporting their clients. But it's really about the community that you end up creating, um, the emotional tone that you set up
Right.
that makes it work.
Yeah, that is definitely huge. I can definitely just even with this program that I just took, which was 4 weeks, the email incubator, and the women in the group were in so radically different places when it came to email. Some people have never sent emails. Some people were consistently sending emails. Some people didn't have a lead magnet. Some people had several lead magnets. So yeah, it was interesting to watch,
Mhm.
the host of that program and the way she did a really, really good job, like of emotionally, like holding space for wherever any person was in that journey. So
Mhm.
I think that is a big piece of it is just you as a person, like how you coach them and how you are able to navigate like that variability. So I
Yeah.
want to wrap this up with just a final question because I think this is important. We looked at like how a course or program like needs to be designed. We talked about the content. We talked about the learning and the different things. What is the cost of not being like really intentional about your program or course design?
Yeah. And I love, love, love this question because so many of us don't realize that there is a cost to poor design.
Mhm.
And the cost will show up in different ways. The cost in your time, endless reteaching, repeating, redoing, posting the same comment, repeating the same thing, reteaching on calls. Maybe you
Okay.
have to offer more office hours. So the cost in time, but
Mhm.
the cost of emotional burnout, right? Like that can take a big drain when you're like, I've said this 72 times already, right?
Right.
When something is constantly showing up, that's not a signal that there's something wrong with the student. That's
Mhm.
a signal that there's a barrier in the design. People are variable, but barriers are in the design. So we got to go find where the problem is in the design and fix it.
Got it.
Um, we're talking also about not just time, not emotional, but also financial. So maybe refunds or people lose interest or they say, hey, it's not working for me, right? it
Right.
it's not the content. I'm going to tell you, it's not the content, it's the way that it's presented.
Yeah.
Delayed testimonials or no testimonials or lower referrals,
Mhm.
having to rebuild the course again. I can't tell you how many clients I've worked with where, we work with clients either building their course from the ground up this way, which I recommend, but we
Mhm.
can redesign a course, but that is costly. It's your time
Yeah.
and your effort and energy. So it's redoing.
100%.
So
Yeah. I think probably one of the biggest costs for, especially for like a mission driven entrepreneur, is the cost of not having the impact that you want to
oh
have
yeah.
on your clients. Like,
Oh absolutely.
I mean, I'm in business to support and to help my clients. Like, I want to make an impact in their lives. And if I feel like I haven't made an impact and I haven't helped them transform and they've walked away and didn't get something like big from me, yeah, that hurts my feelings. It really does. So,
I agree. I mean, this isn't just about profit. It's also about transformation.
yeah,
And there are so many things. Every entrepreneur is brilliant in their subject matter expertise. And
right.
we can work with the design
Hmm.
so that to make that transformation easier to
Yeah.
flourish faster.
I love it. So you have a gift, the 100K online course roadmap planner. Tell the audience a little bit about that, because I will definitely drop a link in the show notes for that, but I want to let people know what it is.
Yeah, so the 100K online course roadmap planner is the framework that we teach to help our clients get to six figures. It's the core, it's the template that will we just talked about how do you build a course structure like that recipe model, but it
Okay.
has more information. It's got reminders about like the neuroscience piece, and it gives you suggestions for what those headers could be so that you
Mhm.
can customize it to your specific course. So grab that in the link and yeah, download the template and to help you outline your course. And it's beyond the headers. It'll show you different ways, other elements that you could use to map out your course.
Okay. And if someone wants to learn more about the work that you do, what's the best place for them to learn?
Yeah, so you can hop on to superchargeyouronlinecourse.com
Okay.
and you can book a discovery call there or find different more information and connect with us there.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kasia, for all of this information. It's been amazing. I'm actually kind of inspired now. It's like, okay, yeah, I have been avoiding making like a online course. Although I know that I have two like course ideas that I know would be like really beneficial to my audience. And I've been kind of avoiding it because of this whole courses are dead. But this has given me like new inspiration. And yeah, so I appreciate this call and this episode a lot.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.